This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're doing a smackdown comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S2 on T-Mobile and the HTC Amaze 4G on T-Mobile. These are T-Mobile's latest flagship phones. Both will be available on October 12th. These are both large phones. The Galaxy S2 has a 4.52-inch display running at 800 by 480 resolution, whereas the HTC's is 4.3-inch. So you can see, holding them side by side, the display size is really not so different between the two. The HTC is running a QHD resolution, 960 by 540, so you get a higher resolution display, which is a big bonus in my book. What you don't get is the Super AMOLED Plus display that I know some of you love from Samsung phones, and it's very bright and very vivid. Now the HTC has a LCD display, a Super LCD display, and really it's one of the nicest I've ever seen on an HTC phone. It's very sharp, very clear, colorful, and it has very warm and natural colors. So for those of you who don't like the super bright, ultra vivid thing, you might actually prefer the HTC. They both have capacitive front touch buttons here, as you can see, and they have front cameras for video chat. And they're both fairly slim phones, though obviously Samsung always manages to be the super skinniest. Taking a look at the back, the HTC is available with either a white or a black back, so you have your choice there. And the HTC has more complex curves, a very interesting finish, some metal here, a very sturdy design. I definitely give them more points for design over the Galaxy S2, which looks like pretty much every other Samsung phone. You've got a plastic back and a front big black slab of a display, and the HTC is really a very attractive, interesting looking phone. It's also heavier, it's 6.1 ounces, so it's about an ounce and a half heavier than the Galaxy S2. Both have the headphone jack up top, which is very convenient. The HTC has a power button up there, which I also think is convenient, versus the Samsung's power button being on the side. Both require an MHL adapter sold separately if you want to output to an HDMI TV. And this has HTC's micro USB port that's really their extended USB port's multifunction port, but you can plug in any micro USB charger that has compatible voltage. Samsung keeps theirs at the bottom. Samsung has mic here and a mic here for noise canceling, and HTC has got mic holes just everywhere. You've got one here, and you've got three over here to pick up and differentiate ambient noise from your voice noise. And this is louder for outgoing voice, and it's fairly effective. When recording video, it sounds a bit brash, though, and almost a little too loud compared to the Samsungs. Both these phones run on a 1.5 gigahertz third-generation Qualcomm Snapdragon CPU with Adreno 220 graphics, and they perform just about equally. The Samsung benchmark's about 80 points higher, so we're talking about 2650 versus 2720 or so. That's not really a hugely significant difference, and they both score about 75 on LinPack, which is very impressive. So in terms of CPU speed, these guys are equal in terms of performance. Both of them feel equally responsive, and they can both play 1080p video equally as well as games. In fact, we'll compare the same clip playing on both of them. Here we have both phones playing the same 1080p high-profile trailer, and you can see they're both doing it equally well and equally loudly. The HTC has a warmer color cast to the display, which you can probably see. This is more cool, and in terms of brightness, they're very similar. Both of the phones have NFC communications, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and a GPS. GPS works equally well on both of them. And reception, as you can see, in terms of bars, also in terms of dB, is quite similar. Now, we're in a fairly good coverage area here. It's hard to judge what poor quality reception will be like, because lucky us, we don't have poor quality reception anywhere in our area. But if you have good reception or better than good reception, they seem to be the same. I give the HTC an edge for voice quality for both good incoming and outgoing voice with the Galaxy S2. Outgoing voice is very good. Incoming voice could be a little bit sharper. Not a bad phone, but could be a bit sharper. They both have 8 megapixel rear main cameras that can shoot 1080p video, and both of them take really nice shots. I give the Samsung an advantage in low light settings. It really brings out colors and maintains sharpness. And HTC, I give a slight edge for the 1080p video quality. It's a bit smoother and more natural. Though the audio recording is a little bit too bright and too loud thanks to all those microphones on the back. In terms of settings that are available to you, you can see you've got kind of a fancy version of settings here. You can choose various scene modes, which is pretty neat. And you can control the flash, and you can get to more advanced settings: effects, white balance, ISO, resolution, review duration, widescreen or not, geotagging options, auto-enhancing the photos, autofocus on and off, face detection, shutter sound grid, smile capture, blink detection. Pretty fancy stuff there. Samsung keeps the interface pretty simple here. First, you just see options for switching which camera you're using in the flash or not. If you bring up settings here, you've got self-portrait mode, flash shooting modes, scene modes. If you choose scene modes, it's a little bit more boring looking, but a good variety of options right there. So both very capable. This also has ISO and white balance and all those other things. So either of these is going to make a Shutterbug happy, let's put it that way. And the difference in video recording quality is fairly minimal. In terms of web browsing experience, it's pretty much the same on both of these, running on the same CPU and similar versions of Android. The HTC is running on Android OS 2.3.4 Gingerbread, and the Galaxy S2 is running on 2.3.5 Gingerbread. Both support Adobe Flash, both are equally usable. One of the big differentiators, besides whether you want the Super AMOLED Plus or the higher resolution on the HTC display, is the software and interface. Now, HTC uses their Sense 3.0, and we've got TouchWiz going on the Galaxy S2. So you can see right here we've got the standard HTC widgets going on here and their little customization. You have quick access to a variety of settings right there. That's how you get to your applications. If you've used Sense before, you know what this is like. Quick shortcut to phone makes that very easy. They both have widgets for their versions of social networking. I like FriendStream a little bit better, but Samsung's Social Hub isn't bad. And you have a pretty standard treatment of icons over here. This is all applications, and you can switch to your favorite applications or just things that you've downloaded. Now with TouchWiz, we've got some of their widgets added here, but pretty much the same stuff. So you've got your standard TouchWiz widgets over here and their applications. They've toned down things. They got rid of that big blocky border they used to put behind icons, so it's a little less cartoony, and that's good. And this has a page-by-page application selector, and everything is put in here alphabetically. So if you download something, it appears alphabetically instead of off at the end of your list. So there you have it, T-Mobile's two new super phones for October 2011, and they're both really nice phones. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with either one of these. And in the end, you know, there's not much of a difference. Since they're running on the same CPU, they're both relatively large phones. They both run Adobe Flash just fine, and they can play gaming equally as well. They both have NFC even, and 8-megapixel cameras. And the cameras on both are quite good. So in the end, what it comes down to is, do you want the higher resolution display of the HTC QHD and its very natural, pleasing colors, or do you love that Super AMOLED bright and vibrant, even though, well, it's only 800 by 480 pixels. It's a little bit lower resolution, but you do get that gorgeous psycho color. Though they're both large phones in your pocket, the HTC is slightly thicker, but you know, we're talking not much of a difference here in terms of that. The last differentiator is price. The HTC costs $30 more. What do you get for your money, though? You get definitely aesthetically, I would say, fancier phone here. All sorts of complex lines on here, the interesting glass that sticks out. You get some metal here. It feels like a high-end, high-quality phone. And Samsung, it's a usual big slab of glass with some plastic on the back. So what you're probably paying for is build quality here. Technically, the HTC's camera is a bit more advanced when you're paying for that. It's got a backlit illuminated sensor. It can shoot HDR photos as well. Though, like I said, you know, it's pretty close in terms of the results that you get at the end, but the HTC is slightly better for shooting video. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. This is the HTC Amaze 4G and the Samsung Galaxy S2, both on T-Mobile. Visit our website for the full review of both phones.